What is good, everybody? Niner faithful. It's my boy Aaron. We're back. We haven't talked in a long time, but we are back. Training camp officially done today, and that means the 49ers are getting ready for their first preseason game. We're going to talk all about it with my main man, Aaron. What's up? How are you doing? How you feeling, my man?
Uh, Physically horrible, but mentally I'm good with football. It's always a good thing. I'm kind of glad that training camp's over for the simple fact that we were relatively healthy coming out of it so far.
Mm-hmm.
Probably shouldn't have said anything, and now I'm going to curse us. Knock on wood. I was just interested in paying attention every single day to all. I mean, like I had reports from you, Ted, Breezy one day. Who am I thinking of? Ryan Hensley. Like anybody you could drop off of Twitter that it follows the 49ers and has a YouTube channel. I had no issues finding out what was going on. It was like probably the most connected I've felt to training camp as a 49er fan, and it was awesome. Some people have a little bit of like you could tell who they're kind of rooting for. But I appreciated Rohan's thing at the end of the very last day where he kind of just spelled it out and was like pretty even with everybody. And I was like, good. Because sometimes you can tell, like, there's, we call them Jimmy stands or Trey stands or Purdy stands. There's definitely a little bit of that you can tell. And that's fine. We all have preferences, right? But it was nice to see, for the most part, there was a lot of people that were just reporting for the sake of reporting, and it was nice. So I felt pretty connected. I got to get out there one of these days. I want to be out there next year or the year after or something, and because you guys seem like you had a really good flipping time. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, you got to get out here. It was amazing. What's up, everybody in the chat? It was definitely fun. Like, I think you're right. This was the most connected, like, training camp in terms of content creators, independent,
Oh yeah,
content creators. Because there's always the media, the beat reporters. They're always going to be there. Come hell or high water. Like they're doing their thing every year. But I feel like this year, because I've been doing this training camp, going to the team training camp, and covering them for the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. I think open practices for the last 4 years, but specifically trying to go to all of them for the last 3 years. And it was, first year wasn't a lot of people out there. Last year was getting a lot of more people, like content creators. Rohan and me were there every day last year, and a couple other people were there. But this year, like everybody that's on 49ers Twitter was basically out there. Like it was crazy. So yeah, I think all eyes were there. You got a lot of detailed coverage, and you got a lot of, obviously you're gonna have people that have their spin on it, but for the most part, I think everybody held each other in check, and there was a lot of accountability, because if you said something and it was wrong, somebody's gonna be like, no, that was not the case. So it was very well documented all over social media, all over Twitter. I think everybody did a good job. It was fun connecting with everybody. It's a vibe, man. This was probably my favorite year of doing training camp out there, going to all the training camp practices. It was fun. I will say this though, you know how you said you're happy that's over. I'm not. I went to work today. I was missing, waking up, getting my coffee, going to training camp, getting the notes up. I had to
right.
wake
No,
up
I
early.
understand.
I
I
had to
understand.
wake up early. I had to go to work. I had to, I had to do my thing, which I don't complain, because I have a great job, and I'm happy that I'm able to have a good job. But I missed it. I missed hanging out with Ted. I missed hanging out with Rohan and everybody. But that just means that we're closer to the season, which is amazing.
My whole thing when I say I'm happy it's over, I'm just happy that like we're getting closer to the season. That's what I mean. Like I'm
Yeah,
happy like that section of the off season. There was such a long wind up to this training camp.
it was
And
almost.
then we got the great news that, Purdy's ready to go. I'm still trying to knock on wood and be like, man, I can't believe that Purdy's, doing whatever, regardless of what your opinion is on Brock Purdy, pro, anti, in the middle. It was good to see him back because, I connect him with the most success we've had at the end of last year. So like, I'm good. But at the same time, it was nice to hear about Trey and feeling like Trey had his best camp since he's been there. So that gives me confidence that like if something happened, like Trey could come in and essentially we wouldn't miss a beat. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm not hoping for anybody to get hurt, but at the same time of like Trey did himself a really good thing by being really good this year. And a lot of people were saying like they were there previous years and this is the best he's looked.
a
I,
hundred
I
percent. I went last year and the year before again, and I saw Trey. Last year was very up and down. This year he put together like day after day, which was like really strong. Like just he was stacking days, like everybody was saying, right? Everybody was posting stacking days. Trey really was stacking good days together. And to me, actually, the quarterback room looked really good. All of them. You got to remember how good the defense is of the 49ers.
Right.
First and second unit, even the third unit. Like 49ers defense is so good. So
Yep.
for the fact that, you know, the quarterbacks are out there doing good, not a lot of picks. There's going to be a few here and there. Not perfect plays, but there was high level of quarterback play throughout, which is great for the 49ers because you need that. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of injury. You know, people that said, oh, Purdy, noodle arm, he can't throw the deep pass, he's dinking dunking. The fact that he's out there healthy and having a good camp was a big W for him because we didn't even know if he was going to make it to the season, right? So he's healthy. Trey had a very good training camp, and even Darnold put together a pretty good training camp. Nothing overly impressive, but it was very consistent, and it gives us three quarterbacks that if they have to, at some point in the season, run the offense and run this team, they can win games and execute. Because that's what happened last year. You had three quarterbacks get through, you know, the season, and then you're stuck on your fourth guy and you're screwed. So we don't want to get to that. But Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have safeguarded this team. And, you know, when I look around all these other teams and all these other reports, how many times do you open up Twitter or NFL Network or, you know, you look up the stats from other teams' training camp? I mean, Dak was throwing picks. Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing picks. All these quarterbacks were getting picked off. Nobody said anything. Aaron Rodgers was getting picked. Obviously, Sauce Gardner's great, but we have really good players on our team, Fred Warner and you know, et cetera, et cetera. They don't give our guys praise. It's like as soon as there's an interception, oh my God, see, he shouldn't be the quarterback. And it was just this, you know, quarterback controversy, which I hate. But to me, my biggest takeaway was, hey, all three of these quarterbacks played very high level football. You look around the rest of the league, and these quarterbacks had. I don't think they had great training camps. I don't know. I every time I looked at Dallas news, this man Dak was throwing picks. So we got to be lucky with the quarterbacks we have.
Yeah, and the thing too that I'm kind of looking forward to going into this year if everybody stays healthy is just stability. There was such instability just with, you know, one quarterback hurt, then another quarterback hurt, and then a couple weeks later it was another. My whole thing is looking forward to stability because I think stability, just like with offensive line and having guys play around each other who are essentially, you know, the same guys all the time. I think quarterbacks become, you know, really in tune with their receivers. So I'm glad the Niners kind of in a way, and I know that it pissed off a lot of people. I'm glad they were like, hey, Trey's the guy. He's number one. He's getting all the first team reps. That's it. If they would have went the same thing with Lance, Lance is number one. He's getting all the first team reps. That's it. I'm glad that the Niners just got out in front of that. There wasn't a lot of teeter-tottering when it came to that. And he needed it. Purdy needed it. Does he have a noodle arm? Yeah, probably. But I think the second half of Drew Brees' career, his arm was shot, and he still played really, really well. So I know that is a really kind of like an out there comparison, but like, you know, it's we're going to see. We don't know. I think the Niners are going to have a really good year this year. To me, the Niners' biggest enemy is injuries.
Yeah.
It's not their opponent. It's not anything else. It's injuries because they're a well-coached team. They're a team that actually likes each other. There's great chemistry. Injuries is always their bugaboo, and a slow start. If they start fast like 2019, watch out.
Yeah, I agree. And injuries have always been our Achilles heel. And I mean, it's the NFL. A lot of teams get big injuries, and that really deters them. That's the name of the game. You have to have good depth. You have to have good young players. And the 49ers have really done that. They've insulated this roster, like top to bottom. This team is loaded. Obviously, the starters. We had 8 players on the NFL top 100. That's tops in the league. No other.
That's
team
insane, bro.
That's insane, man. And you look at this roster, and you could probably argue that there were some players that could have been on there that were left out. So it just shows you how good this damn team is. It's like, man, Ayuk could have been in there, right? Kyle Juszczyk.
If he has a strong year, he will be in the top 100.
He will be on there. And there's so many guys that are like on the brink. You know, Mooney Ward. There's just some guys that you're like, man, Aaron Banks maybe this year could be a top 100 guy. So that just shows you how good this team is. And yeah, if somebody goes down, next man up. But, you know, going back to Brock Purdy, again, just the fact that he's healthy, he's making the plays, and to him not being able to throw deep, I get it. Everybody wants that sexy play, the deep pat. That's not the 49ers offense. The 49ers is a short yardage, you know, Yak Brothers type offense. You get it to the playmakers. Occasionally you can test downfield, and Brock did that last year. He did take some shots down the field last year, but The offense is get the ball to Debo, get the ball to IU, get the ball to CMC, get the ball to Kittle. 3 out of those 4 guys were NFL top 100. They'll do the rest. That's the offense. And if he does have a setback, or if he's not the same as he was last year, which, Flood right here, good question. He goes, you think the moment has gotten too big for Brock? I don't think so. I know there's attention, but that comes with any good team. You're going to have attention. He's a gamer. He's been a leader. The team always compares, the team always has his back. They say he's such a good leader. That was his first year as a rookie in the spotlight. Obviously, there's going to be a bigger microscope on him. But if he isn't able to do what he was able to do last year, and he kind of has a setback, that's why it's good that Trey Lance has had such a strong training camp. And even Sam Darnold. Those guys could come in and hopefully, lead this offense. We hope it doesn't get to that point. I do want Trey to get his opportunity down the line, whatever happens. But the 49ers have 3 strong quarterbacks, I feel, that can run this offense. I think it's a luxury. I know a lot of people make it a controversy. I think it's a luxury. Are they franchise quarterbacks? That's the argument. We'll see. They're still young. 2 of those 3 guys are still very, very young.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's not old himself. He's still pretty young. So I think we have a good quarterback room. We just got to stay healthy. And our key players like Nick Bosa and all those guys have to be able to play at their high level and stay healthy. And hopefully Nick Bosa gets paid. We'll talk about that shortly.
Soon, yeah. My whole thing is I heard a report today. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell in the microphone. I heard a report today that which separates kind of what for all the physical stuff that Trey does. The leadership part of Brock Purdy is always something that it always intrigues me. I guess Danny Gray ran a wrong route and he screamed at him and pretty much told him he ran the wrong route. That kind of moxie from an undersized, quote unquote, noodle armed last pick in the draft guy, that is something that when I watch Trey, sometimes I wish he was a little bit more fiery. I know it's not his personality, but there's something with the quarterback position with a guy that keeps people in check and kind of runs. He runs the show, and everybody has a modicum of respect towards him.
Yeah.
And he's the first quarterback probably since I would say maybe Jeff Garcia, who could really scream or yell at guys, or even Steve Young. It's been a while. Niners don't have guys like that. They're always the quarterback just is along for the ride kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to step on any of the playmakers' toes. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. It's always whatever you want, coach, or whatever you want, Kyle. Kyle calls the shot.
Right.
Brock's if he wants to challenge him, he'll challenge him. There was a couple times last year you saw Shanahan going, "What the hell is this kid doing?" And he audible to play. That's what you got. And I think the other day there was a lot of players on this team comparing Brock to Aaron Rodgers and some of the better quarterbacks, Drew Brees. And it's not the physical. It's not like he doesn't have a physical makeup of those guys, but he has the intangibles. It's up here, and that's what I feel
important.
like was the reason why he was able to come in and take this team, and he won the starters because he has that confidence, he has that swagger, and I think that's what separates him from Trey. And there's no shot to Trey because I think Trey has an immense amount of talent. This guy's arm is great. Trey, this training camp, I was wowed. I was like, God, this guy is so good. If he becomes a starter, this offense is going to be fun because he's a Ferrari. But you're right. And I saw it. He did grow this year in terms of leadership and poise and being able to get his vocal vocal range out and tell people where they need to be. That's what I wanted to see growth from Trey this year. His leadership skills, his vocal skills really improved this year. His confidence, that's what it is. It's self-confidence and then confidence in your ability to lead others. That's what Trey needed, and it really showed this year. So I think working alongside, Patrick Mahomes and his QB coach, I think that really helped him in that area. And again, his physical tools were really on point. So I think he just continues to grow there, and he'll be where he needs to be. But Brock's already there in terms of the mental edge, in terms of leadership of the team. So I think, like you said, the Danny Gray situation where he told him yo, man, you need to get in check. And they're about the same age, but Brock knows he's the quarterback, and you made a mistake. You're a second-year receiver. I might be a second-year quarterback. You need to get your ass in line, because then the next time Purdy or Danny Gray messed up, you could tell he was like, he could tell he looked at Brock. He's like, I messed up. That was my bad. That's what you do as a starting quarterback. You hold those guys accountable, and then they'll step up. So I don't know. It was a good training camp overall. The quarterbacks, man, it was every day. It was like, oh man, this guy won. This guy. To me, it wasn't who won. It was just nice to see all of them look good and not throw 4 picks in a training camp practice. Do you know how many times I saw Jimmy at practice throwing picks, and the media's, oh well, it's just practice. He didn't throw 4 picks. I don't even
Yeah,
think
we all
4
know
picks.
if Trey throws the same amount of picks in practice, the media would be all over
Yeah,
him. So
I don't even think they
let's
4 picks in total, like the whole training camp, the whole group, all 3 of them. You know, maybe 4 or 5 total.
yeah.
Crazy.
That's a dude. I hope we don't have to go to our third quarterback because I think that's disaster if any team is going. Like I don't want a repeat of last year. I want whoever the starter is to be healthy all season.
Yeah.
I see something in the comments about starting starting slow that would be an indictment on Shanahan. I think it would be. This team doesn't really have a lot of excuses unless there's like a injury that just completely shell shocks this team. Uh, this team is deep enough though that even if one star went down, they should still be good enough to compete in the NFC. Like they're not like one player away from being a 4-win team. So
Yeah.
I'm really confident in the depth of this team. But yeah, like you can't start slow this year. No way, man. You
No.
can't, especially
They
with that
have
murderer's row
get
in the middle of the season.
they have to get off to a strong start because the season starts pretty easy. They should be able to win 6,
Should be able
7.
to win in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they should be able to win. I mean, that's gonna be a tough game. I think they're better than people are giving them credit, but I think they should win 6 to 7 of the first 8 games. They should maybe be able to nip out of that with 1 or 2 losses for the most part. Get off to a really hot start. To this question by Camden says, "Do you think the Niners, if they have a strong start of the season, go and get a playmaker? They did last year with CMC. I think they always make midseason moves if they're struggling. I think if they don't have any issues or holes at midseason, they're going to rock it and just keep what they got, unless they need some depth somewhere. But the 49ers, for the last couple of years, if they needed something at midseason, they'll go and get it. Like Emmanuel Sanders a couple years ago, CMC last year, it was a dire straight situation. They needed a spark after a low start, and they did it. So if they get off to a slow start, I believe in this team to turn it around, but I don't think they'll get to a slow start this year. I hope they don't, because this year absolutely need to get off to a strong jump off the season. They need to get that first seed. They really do, because playing home field is a big difference. And if we're gonna have to play Philly in the playoffs again, I don't want to play them in the link, man. I
No,
really
I would rather have them here because I think people don't understand. Like, there's a lot of talk about, and I've never been there, but people have said that Levi's has had and has somewhat of a home field advantage now, especially in the playoffs. The
yeah.
Niners haven't lost a playoff game in Levi's since it's open, so um,
Wow.
I'm looking forward to hopefully getting the 1 seed, getting some time off. The one team that time off wouldn't hurt is the 49ers because of the way they play, especially with someone like Nick Bosa. We know how tired he was at the end of last year. And then he got, nicked up in the championship game, getting leg whipped on a return that he was on the sideline for. So, yeah, to me, it's pertinent they get off to a fast start.
Yeah.
I don't really see how they could not. Maybe they lose in Pittsburgh week 1 because it's a tough game. I don't see that. I think it's close for a while, and then I think the 49ers kind of assert dominance because they're just a better team. Same with the Rams. It might be close because it's a divisional game, and divisional games are always weird. Like you could be head and shoulders better than somebody. Look at the Dolphins all those years with the Patriots. The Patriots are going to the Super Bowl and winning. The Dolphins always gave them problems. So I think both games are winnable, but I think both games could be close. And I don't care how they win. If they start 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-1, that's good stuff, man. Like they should. That's expectation. Anything less than that to me is a big disappointment because like we talk about the window, it's one day it will close. It might be kept open a little bit because we have cheap quarterbacks and we're able to kind of keep
Yeah.
kicking the ball down the the can down the road. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully. I think Pittsburgh is a win. I think the Rams are a win, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong and everyone will hate me. But that's just my personal opinion.
No, I mean, obviously, it's still a little too early to look towards week 1. But if we're talking about the Pittsburgh game, I mean, it'll be a tough game. Pittsburgh's got some squad. They got a good team, underrated players. They got T.J. Watt, but they also have Kenny
That's
Pickett, and he has to play against the number 1 defense in the NFL. People forget 49ers have the number 1 defense in the NFL. They're bringing them back. You got Nick Bosa back. You got Fred Warner. You got Dre Greenlaw, Mooney Ward. You got everybody else that's back. And guess what? they added Javon Hargrave to this defense, and Armstead's going to be healthy. So I think that's the key. They'll annihilate. This offense is going to be churning. I feel like it'll be a close game until second half, and the 49ers physical just beat down on teams will continue. They'll, like you said, assert their dominance. And I think that is why the 49ers need that early break in the season, in the playoffs, because they play so physical. It wears them down. It wears their opponents down, but it wears them down because you're absolutely right. By the end of that season, man, Nick Bosa was gassed out. But I mean, he didn't really have as much help that we needed him to have. They did address it a little bit this offseason. I still think they could do a little bit more in that department.
Me too.
But there's a lot of pressure on Drake Jackson. I've said it, and I want him to go crazy. I want Drake Jackson. The expectations are so like, that's why I want people to tread lightly. I think Drake will do good, but people are out there thinking he's gonna be a Pro Bowl type. Like, trust me, he looks so much stronger. He looks better. But to go from 12 games all the way to a full season is not easy. So, and now he's going to have to play a lot more snaps than he did last year. So let's temper our expectations. I think he'll have a good leap in the season, a big jump this year, like how Hufanga did. But let's temper it back because it's a lot of pressure on Drake. And if he goes out there and has 10 sacks, then damn, man, I was wrong. But I think he'll get off to a hot start and maybe kind of slow down a little bit in the middle and hopefully pick it up when we need him to towards the end. But I mean, it's a lot of pressure on Drake this year. So hopefully those other guys like Clellan Farrell, Austin Bryant, they can really come in and help, as we need some help out there. And Javon Hargrave, I think, will make a massive impact to this defensive line. I mean, this guy looked tremendous out there. Him and Trent Williams on one-on-ones were just messing with people. It's funny to watch.
The thing with I understand, and I wanted Yannick too, and I wanted maybe to sign Justin Houston.
Yeah.
Both of those guys wanted way too much money. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the Niners are not paying $10.5 million for a 1-year rental on a guy. No, you can't. No way.
Yeah, there's no way. I like those guys. I wanted them too. We sat here before, talked about we should get them, but to pay those guys that much for a 1-year rental is too much. But like we mentioned earlier in the show, that if the 49ers need a mid-season move, they'll do it. And that, to me, is the move I think that'll happen. If it's
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
and maybe the defense is not as strong as it needs to be, or the pass rush could be a little bit better, and there's somebody out there, they'll make a move. I think that's what they'll wait for, to give Bosa and Drake Jackson a little bit, help out there. Because this is my thing with Drake, is they're going to put a lot of pressure. By midseason, he might start kind of falling down, getting winded a little bit. Bosa won't get winded to the playoffs because he can grind the whole season. Drake, he might get winded halfway, so the team will say, okay, let's help these guys out. We'll go get a midseason guy. And then Drake can kind of recuperate, and he'll have to he could take a little bit less snaps. So when the playoffs come, he'll have more energy. So I think that's the way to play it. They don't need to get any offensive guys because they got a wealth of offensive guys. I mean, in training camp and hopefully in preseason, we see some of these guys. I mean, man, there were so many good playmakers. TDP, Jordan Mason, Chris Conley, Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell. Like, I was like, wow, there's so much good young talent on this team. Who the hell is gonna get cut? And if they get cut, will they get claimed? Like, it's some good talent out there.
Swaggy made a good point. We were unbeaten when we brought in Emmanuel Sanders, but we were lacking in the receiving game, right? Yeah, I could see that. I think offensive tackle might be something that could be a midseason trade if we're struggling. Because this offensive line is scary to me. I don't know how you feel about it. I was listening to I might have been Locked On 49ers, and they were really Crocker and Peacock are really concerned about the offensive line. Like, and I am too. Definitely gives me worry. It's not the starting guys; it's what's behind them.
The backups.
But would you do a midseason trade for an offensive lineman? I rarely see something like that happening.
I would, Aaron, because the starters, they're great. I think that, and I've said this a couple times during training camp over the last couple weeks. Starters look good. They look great, but can they make it through a whole season? That's a tough position. That's a grind. That's a couple weeks you might lose a guy here and there. And I don't know if I trust these backups. A lot of them are young. A lot of them are all old. Some of them are old, vets that have fledged through some teams. So I don't know. I would get more depth out there. Although, O-line, not every team has like a stacked O-line at every position. They're going to
offensive line is pretty bad in the NFL.
Yeah.
Across the board, it's pretty rough.
if our starters can maintain themselves, we'd be good because those starters are great. Trent Williams, he's a monster. He does miss some games through the season, and I think they got to play some load management on him to make it to the playoffs. You don't want him to be worn out. You got the two guys that I feel will go through the season and just be money is going to be Banks and Burford. Those two guys are young, two solid guards. They really held up training camp. They look both of them to be in amazing shape this year. They really both stacked muscle and everything. Jake Brendel, I like the guy. I think he's a solid center. I hope out of all the guys, I need him to stay healthy because these backup centers in camp just could not snap the ball. Like there's so many times that Trey and Sam Darnold had just shit snaps, Aaron, and I was like, what is that?
How can you not know how to snap the ball? You're an NFL center.
So it wasn't fair because sometimes Trey came out there and some of his like bad plays were because of a poor start to the plays, and even Sam, I'm gonna give Darnold a benefit of doubt too, because there were some plays I was like, oh, that's a bad play. But if you watch it from the start, like, yeah, it was a bad snap. Brock Purdy was out there playing with Jake Brendel, who was perfect. So I mean, if Jake Brendel's out there at center, we're good. I don't know about these backups. They're still young, and some of them are out of position because they just have to put people in that center position. And then right tackle. I mean, Colton, how good is he going to be? Is he going to be an ace? There's going to be teams that are going to take advantage of this guy because
yes, they are.
First year starting at right tackle. I think he has some talent, but they're going to test him because who the hell wants to go run against Trent Williams when you can go run on the other side against Colton McKivitz? People are going to send their best edge rusher against Colton McKivitz, and he's going to have a big test. And if he gets hurt, I'm not happy with the backup offensive tackle. Jalen Moore, Leroy Watkins, all those guys behind him, you better count your lucky stars. I'm not too happy about those guys.
And they had a chance to draft somebody. And were they that unimpressed with the draft picks at tackle this year that they just were like, you know what, screw it, we're not gonna that.
They had to save money somewhere. They had to save money. Bosa's got to get paid next year. Ayuk. So this is the problem of having all these high pay guys and getting those guys paid.
Right.
You do have to cut a few corners here and there. And our corner we cut this year was tackle. So, when Trent's gone, Aaron, I don't want to know what's going to happen. Like, what's going to happen to the tackle position?
Well, my thing is that they could do something. Is they could take what they spent for Trent and spread it over two guys.
Yeah.
Maybe get a guard in the center and then you draft the tackle, or I don't know. Like, I think this coming draft in the next season, I know a lot of people are like, don't talk about the draft. The season hasn't started yet. I understand. But like, if they have a first round pick this year, they're going offensive line in the first round.
They got it. They
have to.
Yeah, they got it.
Unless they blow their load and spend something on somebody in free agency, I don't know where they're going to grab the money from unless they trade somebody. Like,
no way, because next year they got to pay Ayuk.
Yeah, I think they go draft first round. They get a cheap tackle for 5 years. You kick him over to right, and then eventually he comes over and becomes Trent Williams' replacement, and then you just wash, rinse, and repeat. The NFL, in a way, if you think about it, it's money ball for the teams that are good.
It is.
You have your core good guys, and then in certain positions, the Patriots showed how to do this. They would manipulate it they never pay people. They would get a high draft pick and repeat the process, use the guy's best years on money, and then, again, not pay them, move them away, and then repeat the I think 49ers are somewhat like the Patriots in that way. There's some guys that they're going to sign. They're going to sign Kittle, McCaffrey, some guys. But like, there's guys like
core. You got to have your core group.
You can't jettison everybody off. But
at some point, you got to put some emphasis on the O-line because you can't keep going around with a mediocre O-line. I mean,
look at the Eagles. Say what you want about the Eagles. Their offensive line is the best in the NFL. It's not even close.
Man. Those guys are intimidating. And the thing is, Trent Williams ain't going to play forever, and that's what I'm worried about. When he's gone,
I don't even know if he's going to play past this year.
Like, I know you said, Aaron, like, okay, you get a first-round pick, replace Trent. It's not easy to replace. Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer. He's arguably one of the top offensive linemen in NFL history, not just the last decade, NFL history. Me
and my brother were talking about this today. There's
a short list. Like, Joe Thomas was the guy that just got elected to the Hall of Fame this weekend. He's the only offensive lineman to get put in offensive in the Hall of Fame as offensive lineman, offensive tackle. That's a very short list. Maybe Staley will get in there. Maybe Trent Williams should get in there. But it's a very far and few between of like dominating offensive lineman, especially at the tackle position, man. That's going to be hard to replace. So I hope he can play a couple more years, but I mean, time is ticking. He's already played over a decade. It's a lot of years. And,
And he's a large man. There's a lot of moving parts, you know?
He's so athletic. Oh, my God. That's one thing. I see him at training camp every year. He doesn't play every day. He takes some days off, load management, and I know that's what they're doing is they're just
trying the only sport where load management should happen.
Football. Yeah, honestly. And I know they're trying to get him through the the preseason and everything healthy, and I love it. But when I see him, when he is out there, God, the way he moves, I'm like, God, this guy is insane. For how big he is and how fast he moves, it's incredible. But
that's insane.
It's not going to last forever.
He's 6'7", probably, right?
Yeah.
And he's 330 plus.
Good night.
And this dude moves like a small forward. I think that's one of the reasons he's so good is that he's not just a big fat blob at tackle.
He's an athletic guy.
He's actually an athletic tackle. Because, like back in the old days, as long as you had a bunch of fat guys up there, you were good. But like,
just get big guys that can just stay stout and you can run behind. But he can move. He's big. He's 6'5", 320.
Jeez.
Jesus.
Hey, I'm almost close to him. I'm 6'3", 290. I could be as big as Trent Williams.
Trent Williams side, but he's just like, man, you see him out there running down the sideline.
That's awesome.
Like he runs probably a 540 and he's 6'5", 320. This man is just a pure athlete. It's crazy how big this guy is.
My brother was talking to me today. They were talking about like the best team, all the top 100. He's like, man, you guys are loaded at talent. I said, I know, and that's what's scary. Dolphins are not bad either. The Dolphins got some talent on their team.
Like 7 players on that top, but they got some players on that team.
Dude, Tyreek Hill is a man. Okay.
So good.
Jalen Ramsey, say what you want about him, but he's a pretty damn good player.
Great corner, yeah. He's good.
I don't know a lot of their players, but I know like they just have. I know their receiver, their other receiver. Is it Jalen Waddle? Like they got some players.
Jalen Waddle. Woo, that boy is cooking.
They're going to be a fast offense. My brother's like, he's like, I don't care. I just want us to beat the Bills, win the division. I'm like, I'm so pulling for Miami to win the AFC East this year. Dude, you don't understand how horrible it is to live in Bills country. They're so insufferable as a fan base.
I can imagine.
But the thing about them as a fan base, unlike the faithful, is we rep all year. You'll see me with hats like this in freaking January, February, March, April, May. Doesn't matter. I'm always rocking Niners stuff. Bills fans put their stuff away. They're a bunch of freaking wussies. Like, dude, rap all time, every day, all day. Like, they're so traumatized by losing those Super Bowls that, like, I don't know, man. Like, Bills fans are like, oh, you're a Niners fan? I'm like, yep. Oh, you haven't won in a long time. I'm like, yeah, but the 5 still count. Y'all got 0. And then they're like, of course we get into it and then it's whatever. But
well, that's the thing, man. I see people like all the content creators, everybody's repping Niners out. Like I'm wearing a residency hat or Niner shirt. I wear Niner stuff all year.
You know how many fitteds I've purchased in the last 2 years? It's stupid.
Crazy. I bet it's crazy. It's crazy.
Over 20 at least. I'm pushing 30 hats.
I got close to. I probably got more than 30 hats, but I just get so many hats and they're just sitting there. But I rotate them. I try to rotate them.
Yeah. These are the 2 I've gotten recently are my 2 favorite because they're of the boxier, bigger.
I like them.
I have a big head, so like I hate when the hats are shallow.
Yeah.
I like a deep bucket because I have a large
big
forehead.
Dome.
So
yeah. Hats don't fit. I got a lot of those. Like this, like I got the little, but to me, it just I got such a tiny head. Like it just don't look good on me. But I got them.
But the way I look at it is, if you're a big guy, you should have a big head. If you're a small guy, at least we're not opposite where I have a bean head and you have this big fat double chin dome sitting on top of your body. So
yeah, I'm glad
good.
I have a double chin dome on my head. That'd not be
good. I got to lose some weight. I got to go back to just one chin here.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Well, you go train with Trent. According to Julius, Trent Williams runs a 4.81 40-yard dash. Holy God, that's crazy.
That's faster than me.
That's crazy.
In my 20s.
4.8 for a 6'5", 320. That's crazy. Oh, man. Some news that came out today, I know they've signed a couple players here and there. Jeremy Nichols, the running back. So, to me, the big news of the day, was they signed him obviously because CMC is not going to play in preseason, but the injury to Elijah Mitchell, he goes through every single season so far. It's these little minor injuries before the season starts. I know they say, it's not the major, it's not the major. This is not what you want out of Elijah Mitchell. Like, this is already a bad start.
Yeah.
TDP Jordan Mason had a really good camp. Do you think they should trade Elijah Mitchell? Do you think they should keep him around? Like, he's talented. He is their running back too. But I just, part
My
of me
brother thinks I'm crazy that I had a feeling you were going to ask this tonight. We were talking earlier, and I told my brother, I was like, I don't know about Elijah Mitchell. I was like, what do you talk about? He's ridiculously good when he plays. I'm like, yeah, when he plays.
when he plays.
I said 4 games a season, 8 games a season is not good enough to keep somebody on a roster. I wouldn't be against it. 49er fans, some of them will lose their mind, but you just got to keep reminding them, like, bro, he couldn't get through like 2 games in a row, and then he was hurt for another 6. Like, listen, we get prisoners of the moment sometimes because we watch a game and a guy looks fabulous, but we got to think about the long term. Like, he's no good to us. It's same thing with D Ford. Everyone was like so ecstatic that we got him when we got him, but it was a horrible trade. Yeah, he helped us down the stretch in 2019, but that dude, he stole money from the Niners. He never
Oh,
played.
he was like the Hamburglar. The dude was robbing
Yeah.
high and dry. But
He's robbed the 49ers blind. And so yeah, I would be okay with it. I mean, they'd have to get something decent in return. One of the guys in the comments says we need to start a GoFundMe to get Aaron the Levi's.
we need to get you the Levi's. We need to get you a GoFundMe. We'll start that later this year.
I want somebody to help me. I want to get my own Madden cruiser because I have fear of flying. So,
oh my, kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I have anxiety.
I know.
They would have to inoculate me and just put me out, just like
take a bunch of edibles and pass out. You'll be all right.
If I do that, I might start talking to the ladies on the plane. Then they'll kick me out. They're like, okay, he's weird.
He's very,
he's very weird.
I get that.
He's already strange enough without medication.
I agree with you. I love Elijah Mitchell. Great rookie season. Like Sati says, streets will never forget rookie year Elijah Mitchell. I will never forget rookie year Elijah Mitchell. But
no, he's fantastic.
On the street, you got to be on the field. I love the man. Even in that rookie season, he missed 6 games, and he still had that. Like, that's the thing. He's so good, but it's like you said, when he's on the field, I don't like to do that. Like, we have talent at running back.
I'm not trying to dog the guy. I'm just being honest with how.
He's a late round pick. If we get anything out of him, it's a dub. And I love the guy, man, and I think he's a tremendous talent. But they do have guys, TDP, Mason. They got Laybourne. Awatt, they cut him, but they can put him back on the practice squad later down the line. This team, like Kyle Shanahan, knows how to get a running back. And he got CMC. So I love Mitchell, and I think he's amazing. But in 4 or 5 weeks from, week 1, when the season starts, let's say he has another hamstring injury, what are you going to do with him when he has a hamstring and stuff like that? So it's tough, man. These little injuries he has right now, it's an abductor strain. That could come back and become another, pull muscle or something. And it's rough, man. And then these are little wear and tear injuries that just add up.
It doesn't make sense, though. Like, these people, they have all off season to get their body into shape. And then as soon as he didn't even play in the OTA. He wasn't even on OTAs. He was hurt. He was hurt during people. Listen, I'm not a hater. I used to be a real jerk when guys got hurt all the time, but that's when the Niners sucked. But yeah, I don't have any allegiance to players that can never stay on the field.
And I love the guy. Like I said, I'm not hating on him, but you got to be honest with yourself. This guy, he's already injured. It's preseason just around the corner, and he didn't even make it through training camp. Like, that's tough, man.
I guess he gets one more run, I would think. I think he's going to get another run. And then if he doesn't make it through this season, I think it's a wash after. But we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, he is a good, talented player. I just hope he stays healthy. But that's a big hope. And today they did show out and the reason I bring it up, because today they had the first unofficial depth chart this season. I love when they drop the unofficial depth chart, because the fans lose their mind.
Yep.
First unofficial chart. It's preseason week 1. None of this stuff's determined. Like, the 53-man roster is not determined, but it kind of gives you a sense of where players may be on the roster, where they got to do to work to make this roster. But it's not. The other key is it's not made by the coaches. It's released by the PR team. So this is what maybe the team has been provided, and they say, okay, this is your roster for week 1. If right now. We got 3 preseason games to get this thing, knocked out and finalized to make a 53-man roster. But nothing was really crazy to me. I feel like this is pretty much the way I see, when I looked at training camp and everything, it made sense. I feel like everything here is what we saw at training camp. I don't think there's anything crazy. It looks like Danny Gray, if the season was to start today, he'll make it on that roster. Good for him. He battled. And then the other guy that's the odd man out could be, if they keep 6, is Chris Conley. So right now,
I heard so much, at least especially from you, about Chris Conley just balling out in camp.
he was great. He was great in camp.
I get a Trent Sherfield vibe from it, and he never really showed out as that year that he had a hot start in training camp and in the preseason. But I'm willing to kind of put that aside and see if this cat can do something.
Yeah, he looks good. And then going back to running back, like I said, they have Elijah Mitchell as the running back 2 spot, but it's wide open because if he can't stay healthy, you got TDP and Jordan Mason sneaking right behind his heels. So it's interesting.
JP Mason's my guy.
To look at this on defensive side of things, when you're looking at the depth chart and you don't see Nick Bosa on that. Oh, man. So Nick Bosa, as we know, has not signed his contract yet. Kyle Shanahan's not worried. He says he's not worried. He knows he's a guy that comes into camp or comes in every year without even having to practice if he didn't need to. I'm ready, in shape. He knows he's training out in Florida. He's very disciplined. It's a matter of time. It's a numbers game. But are you worried? Niner fans, are you guys worried? Aaron, are you worried that Nick Bosa hasn't signed yet? What's your level of...
A little. I would say 1 to 10, I'm at like 4.5 right now. The only reason is it doesn't bode well for players who sit out when it comes to injuries. And it's not from him not being in shape. It's just like a contact callus that you get from training camp and banging around and hitting into guys. Players develop what they call contact callus. It just helps them. I don't know. It's like a person who could get a concussion, but they never hit their head. It's just something happens and they get jostled around a little bit because maybe they were like a fighter and they haven't been, sparring in a long time, and the body's just not used to the kind of the violent whatever because it's been a while. I think with someone like him, you worry he's totally going to be in shape. His body's going to look like a Greek god. Nobody's questioning that. It's just that going from, doing your workouts every day to all of a sudden going against an offensive tackle and getting double teamed and having to, avoid stepping on somebody and twisting your ankle or, it's that's my worry. He still has time though. He could essentially, as long as he has about, I would say 2 weeks to get ready. It would be scary if he got signed literally the day before the first game. That would be a little bit scary for me. But it's a little bit of a worry. Do I think he's going to get signed? Yes. But it is a little scary to me.
I mean, as the days go on, because my worry meter was like nothing a couple weeks ago, but I don't know, maybe I am close to 4, because I agree with you. Like Nick Bosa is the guy that's so disciplined. He's going to come into shape, chisel, abs, just sculpted. The
About
rock
a quarter off of him, yeah.
looks amazing. He's going to look like Nick Bosa. You don't have to worry about it. The quads, the look. He just comes in. But then part of me is like, okay, you're doing your own drills, you're doing your thing, and then he does an amazing job of keeping himself ready. He does it all off season. But you're right, getting into game specific drills, just being out there with the team and running out in that hot sun and for 2 hours, there's a little bit that goes into that to get your game conditioning. Obviously, I'm sure he's very conditioned, but at some point you do need to have some, game specific drills because I just don't want him to get hurt in the season. Nick Bosa is too important. I don't think he will, but you just never know. And the thing about it, Nick Bosa is, though, where we can't worry too much, where my meter doesn't go too high, is Nick Bosa knows himself more than anybody. If he knows he's at jeopardy for not being ready or not being conditioned, he'll make a decision here and there. But I think it's the agent. Obviously, it's like, if the agent gets Nick Bosa more money, the agent gets more money in his pocket. So I think it's definitely dictated by the agent from what I know. And at the end of the day, like, I feel like if Nick didn't have the agent, he'd be playing right now. He'd have signed. But he also has to look out for his best interest because he can get as much money as he can get. Your career's not guaranteed. You never get as much money as you can stack in this league. They don't care about the player.
To me, it's always about the guarantees with these players.
About the guarantee.
As much as they can get in that guaranteed part.
Got to get your money. You got to get that guarantee. So at the end, Nick Bosa does have to get his money, and I agree with how he's going. If you're not paid yet, he shouldn't have to step on the field. So I do wish they rushed it. I do want them to get it done though, because I think just as a fan base, we're all anticipating like Nick Bosa. I don't know how many times a day I look just making sure I didn't miss the notification. I'm like, did I miss the Nick Bosa?
I want to be the first to report it.
Yeah, too, but I do want to just for my own sake, like did he sign it? Did he sign? I text my boy who knows, Prague. What's the deal with Nick Bosa? No word. Yesterday, Kyle. I haven't talked to Lynch. Well, I don't need to. He's going to be.
If there's one person that doesn't need an off season, it's him. It's like, well.
But I mean, again, at some point, they do need to nip this in the butt. I don't think there's going to be a issue. I don't think there's a situation where they don't sign him. I believe he will be playing by week 1. But at some point, this tension, man, and I think Sadi says, John, just do it, man. No need for this tension. Like, it is a tension. Like, I'll be driving to work, and I'm like, please just drop this notification so I can pull off to the side of the road and scream my head out. I need to see Nick Bosa sign with the Niners for a big extension. I can't wait till that happens.
I got to do my white boy dance. My the running man. That's all I got. I'm pretty stiff as a person, but
I
got to do my.
I need you to record it and let's go viral. Let's do.
Remember the guy who played for the Lakers?
Yeah.
Mark Madsen.
Oh, Mark Madsen. Yeah.
Remember when he did that dance and he was just so white?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Tom says, "What tension? There's no tension. Not tension for Bosa. Like Bosa's going to sign. It's just the fan base. The fans are. I think the fans.
I just want to be able to be like, okay, everybody's there. You know what I mean?
And if you saw Fred Warner last night, he posted on his story. He's like, I miss you, Nick. I miss you, big dog, or something like that on his story. So, the players want him back. The players want their captain. They want Nick Bosa back, man. It's a different vibe when a star like that is in the locker room. It's a whole different vibe. So
we had kind of had a feeling that this was going to happen, though, because his brother had a holdout, too. So.
Yeah, we did. Hold on. There's a question I saw by John. He says, is there a weird vibe at camp? Not weird, but different, maybe you would say. It was just as fun as any other season you covered. Oh, no. Camp was fun. This was probably, I said at the beginning of the show, at the top of the hour, I think this was probably my favorite camp that I've been to over the last couple of years. So no weird vibes. It was a very, very good camp, and I think that it was probably the best camp I've been to in the last couple of years. I think the weirdness is just on Twitter, on social media, with the fans fighting each other. But none of that really spilt into this training camp. You could just tell. All quarterbacks went out there. They did their job. It was a great time had by everybody. And I think all the quarterbacks had an exceptional camp, Again, if you look around the league, this is what I said earlier, look at how many other quarterbacks threw. Like Lamar Jackson throws 4 picks. 49ers quarterbacks played against very good defenses, on the first, second, and third units. And they played good, man. You got to give these quarterbacks their credit because they all came out and they worked their ass off, man, against a very strong defense, the number 1 defense in the NFL. So I think it was a good camp. I think the quarterbacks all, really showcased what they could do for Purdy. Again, it was just a win for him being healthy and being able to get through it without any setbacks. Trey Lance really had a very consistent, very strong training camp compared to where he was last year. And Sam Darnold, he wasn't overly impressive, but he wasn't garbage. He was very consistent on a day-to-day basis. He showed he could execute the offense and do what Kyle wanted him to do. So, no, good camp overall.
Are you getting a lot of notifications?
Am I?
You can hear it. You can hear it through your. It's like.
My phone's always got a notification. Yeah.
I was just saying if we got to let you go. If it's...
No. We're good. No, we don't have any of that.
No breaking news?
No breaking news. If there was breaking news, we'd be like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go. We got another stream coming.
Actually, we'd have to be like, Aaron, you got to go. I got to do this on my own. Bye.
Good question from Frank Tom. What's up, my man? He says, what rookies are you guys most excited by? I'll let you take this first, and then I'll dovetail off of you.
Someone that hasn't been talked about, and it kind of scares me a little bit, but Jair Brown.
Okay.
Someone I wanted to hear a lot about. Now, the Niners quarterbacks didn't throw a lot of picks in camp, but what was your observations from him? I was hoping to hear because he's supposed to be the heir apparent to Tyshawn Gibson when Tyshawn decides to retire after this
Yeah,
year.
Deshaun Gibson, he'll retire next year, and I think they're mentoring him, and I think they're doing good because he came out a lot. He got a lot of tutelage with Gibson, but specifically Hufunga. Those two guys were out early every day, and they got a lot of reps together. I feel like Hufunga really is showing them the ropes. I heard today that Jair Brown had an interception actually on the final practice of camp today. Obviously, there was no open practice, so you just have to believe what the media tells you. But I read from multiple sources that Jair Brown did have an interception today, but he didn't have like a very overwhelming camp. But again, he's a rookie. I feel like they tried him in different packages. He was in a lot of blitz packages. I feel like he's gonna have a vital role for this team in special teams. He's gonna be an extra blitzer at times. I really like this guy. I think he's gonna be the future at safety. Him and Hufunga will be great. But Gibson, he looked very strong in camp. I think he's gonna have a good year. Probably retire after this season, and he's really gonna help shape Jair. But Jair's exciting. He's very explosive. He's a playmaker. You can tell he was just really trying to absorb everything in this camp. But I'm excited for him. Two guys that I want to bring up that had a really good camp that I'm excited for. D. Winters, this linebacker. He started quiet, which most rookies did early in camp. The first week was like, But as soon as the pads came on, this guy was just beast, man. He was sideline to sideline, just such good instincts, making plays. D. Winters was amazing. And him, I think I posted a video the other day because I noticed it for a couple of days. And I was like, I got to get this out there. Dre Greenlaw, man, really took this guy under his wing and was teaching him every single day after camp. And you could just tell he was really, and I noticed once he started, like by the end of camp, this guy Winters was just he was all over the field. I was like, man, Dre is really teaching this guy. D's going to be the next Dre Greenlaw. He's going to be the next Aziz Al-Shir. One of those two guys. He's got
that was what I was going to ask you. Do you see him becoming the starter at some point?
Oh yeah, definitely. Eventually, maybe not this year because you still got the legends. You got Warner and Greenlaw, and Marcelino McCurry Ball had a good camp. I think linebacker 3. But D. Winters looks like the future. Another guy, he may not be the pick everybody wanted, but he was a great pick that I liked. It was my boy Jake Moody. Cash money. This guy, his leg is crazy. Now let's hope that it transcends to the game and he can kicks off in the playoffs. But it was exciting to watch a kicker in training camp, which is crazy. I'm sitting there, he'd be lined up 50, 60 yards away, knocking them down, and I'm like, and everybody's just like, woo.
We haven't seen that in a long time as a 49er fan.
It was nice
because we always get all these haggard old kickers. No offense to Gold, he was money, but
no disrespect at all. Because Robbie Gold was a playoff legend.
Yeah, he was money.
And he was money, but Jake Moody.
But I want to see somebody who could actually, kick with some power and some distance, where you don't have to get within the 35 all the time. You could actually kick from the 40 to 45. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But I'll tell you what, he brought out the best in Zane Gonzalez because everybody talks about the quarterback competition. The kicker competition was crazy because they were rotating every day. Like, here comes Zane, and he was like, you could just tell, he's like, I gotta nail these fucking kicks so I don't get kicked off this team. And Jake Moody, you could tell he was pressured like, I was a third-round kicker. I got to make these kicks because yesterday Zane was perfect. It was actually a very intense competition for the kickers. I watched these guys. You could tell they were sweating. So it was nice to see. But Jake Moody.
It's good to have pressure, man.
Yeah, I like it because
two things happen. You make a diamond or a lump of coal.
And I need it. We need that because if they're having pressure already in training camp, you're going to be pressured in the season. So you're already used to that pressure. And
on the road in Pittsburgh,
Yeah. It was good pressure for Jake Moody because Zane Gonzalez came into camp, and he had a good camp. I'm going to give him his credit for that. So that was nice to see. And then Ronnie Bell, he stood out a few times. I don't know if he'll make the final roster. Preseason, I think someone asked earlier, what do you think about Ronnie Bell? Will he make the roster? He's one of those guys that has to get his, shine in preseason to make the coaches be like, oh, we can't cut him and put some good film on tape. But he had a nice camp. A lot of the rookies towards the end, they got more opportunities because the starters were out. So it was nice to see them. But overall, the two guys that really stood out were D. Winters and Jake Moody to me. Somebody asked, Mr. Breezy says, what about the rookie tight ends? So there was two of them, Cameron Latu and Braden Willis. Cameron Latu started to come on towards the end, made a few plays. He's pretty good at route running, but his hands are like drenched in cocoa butter. He needs to work on his hands. He was dropping a lot. But Braden Willis had a very good camp. Actually, the more I think about rookies, I got to mention Braden Willis in that group because he was good, man. He was getting open. He was, sticky hands. He was able to catch a lot. Him and Darnold had some big catches. Him and Trey had some big catches through the camp. So, yeah, Braden Willis, give him some credit. He went from the third unit, and he played a lot with the second unit towards that last week. So, Braden Willis, I'm excited to see him in training camp. But Cameron Latu, as the weeks progressed towards those last couple camps, he looked a lot better. But early on, man, the guy couldn't catch a cold. So hopefully preseason comes, those two guys can kick it up a notch. But yeah, Braden Willis, if I had to say who is the better tight end in camp, 100% Braden Willis.
Do you think he can make tight end too?
Oh, definitely, because Dwelly and Warner were just trash buckets. They were not good. They looked bad. You want to talk about someone whose hands were slathered in cocoa butter? That was Ross Dwelly. This man must have put his hands in lotion and grease
and then cement.
And then come out there, and put cement on his hand. Come out there because he could not catch. It was life dependent, which it does in his job. He needs to catch the ball. He couldn't do it. So hopefully preseason comes out and he plays better. But Dwelly he was not good.
I heard from John Chapman that he said that Latu had the worst camp, one of the worst camps he's seen. He said he had a horrible camp.
Yeah, again, like I said, he kind of improved as the last couple days there. Those last 3 days, he looked better. But that's why I said early on, it was drop after drop after drop after drop after. I was like, this guy can't catch. He did again. I got to give him his credit because those last 3 camps, he improved. But early on was it was bad. All the tight ends were bad, except Kittle, obviously.
Except Kittle.
Yeah, Mr. Breezy says first preseason game. That's this Sunday, the 13th. Against the Raiders. The 49ers have went to Vegas. They flew over to Vegas. They're in town. They will get a day off tomorrow, a little rest.
Ooh.
And then Thursday, Friday, joint practices with the Raiders. Saturday's the walkthrough, and then the game will be Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific. And we get the Niners training camp. It's going to be a joint practice. Do you know who is going to be going on the other side of the field?
James Garoppolo.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's going to be a interesting thing. I hope he gets picked off like 12 times in training camp.
Oh, that would be glorious. Everybody's going to be all over that.
I'm going to tweet that.
Chef kiss.
Big breaking news post.
Breaking news: Jimmy Garoppolo throws 11 straight picks.
To Fred Warner.
Fred Warner.
Oh my God.
John B's like, damn it, all the tight ends sucked.
Yeah, it was bad. It was John. But yeah, that's pretty much training camp in a nutshell. Yeah. I'm excited. Preseason week 1 coming up. We'll probably do a little preview. I'm sure you will. I know I will. Coming up later in the week before the game. I don't know. What else? You got anything else today, Aaron?
So we had our show Monday. We have the Niners Coast to Coast. We were on Ty Alston's channel yesterday. So we're doing a rotation. We'll be on Brian Culp's channel next week. Me and you Tuesdays. Me and Ted on Wednesday. And I'm working, hopefully, if our schedules can coexist, me and Breezy having a consistent show. Because work, if Saturdays we can get Saturday mornings will seem like the time that works the best. But yeah, 4 shows during the year, it seems very doable and exciting because I think like the Saturday show in a sense would be a preview show for the game, you know what I mean? And then the Monday show is kind of like the wrap up, rinse, repeat. So I'm excited for that because it's like, even with the preseason, it's still exciting to talk about, someone who you want to see play tomorrow. Like, for instance, one person in the preseason I want to see is Jair Brown. I want to see him play. I want to see what he can do.
I do too. I want to see Jair play. I want to see Danny Gray, man. I want to see him.
I want to see Drake Jackson's improvement, if there is any. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but unfortunately with football, someone's going to go down. Hopefully not many.
We're knock on wood, my man. We're knock on wood, Aaron.
Everyone's going to come and freaking throw eggs and pieces of metal at my house for freaking saying something like that, but whatever.
If happens with toilet paper in your house.
You're going to TP my house? Go ahead. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I'll have a decently busy week once I go back to work. I things are gonna hopefully stay the same, but I'm just glad that football's back and then I get to do my weekly show with you. I know you've been
Yeah,
really busy in the off season.
and I work.
9 to 5 in it and stuff. Not
Yeah,
all of
nine
us
to five, a little bit longer.
are more like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Six,
Oh,
10 every day, man. But
uh,
we do. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this season. Preseason will be nice.
yeah,
I'll probably go to a game or two during the preseason.
that's
Um,
awesome.
so it'll be fun. And then regular season, man. I want to go to at least one road game. So I'm gonna see what's up.
Uh, I I I wanted to go with my nephew somewhere, but he never responded.
Just come out by
Um,
yourself, man. Come out.
well, Cleveland, the game in Cleveland, that's like 3 hours away, 3 or 4 hours away from me. Cleveland is very doable. I was in there with the Hall of Fame in 2002. So that would literally all me and my nephew would have to do is like, I would assume I think it's a 4 o'clock game though, which is weird. We'd have to, we could get there Saturday, Saturday afternoon, get some food, get the hotel, go to bed, get up early, and
Yeah,
then either drive home that night or get up early the next morning, and
fly
that
back.
would be
Yeah. That's the hard part of when on the road game. You got to be able to that trip back.
oh
That trip back's tough. I want to go to Arizona actually because I think that's an easy win. But Arizona's close to here. It's
we
easy.
say that. Watch us drop a game to
I
them
know.
this year.
It's a easy trip to get over there from where I'm at,
uh,
and tickets are dirt cheap. They're gonna probably give away tickets, and I'm like,
that means we're going to take over their stadium this year. It's going to
yeah,
be
I kind of
Levi's, Arizona.
yeah, Levi's
Uh,
Arizona. I kind of want
Aaron, where are
that.
you from? From Rochester, New York. I am uh, about 2 hours away from Buffalo. I'm right near Lake Ontario.
Mm,
I'm about as northeast. Well, I'm not as northeast as you can get. I guess that's where John V's from. He's probably told me that before, but I have about a memory of a
Goldfish.
goldfish. So yeah, that would be an interesting meetup. You get an angry Italian guy and an angry Greek guy getting pissed off at football. That would be right there. They'd be like, "What the hell is the matter with those two guys? Why are
Yeah.
they so? Why are they screaming? Why are they? You know, yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that would definitely be something I would want to do. I mean, I still have time.
Got to
I
do
don't
it.
want to.
There's so many games. You never know. But yeah, I definitely want to hit a road game. The Arizona game is a cheap option, so I'd go, but it's not like the
Sexy
pick, So I don't know. There's that Minnesota game, Monday night, Minnesota. Oh,
Minnesota.
Minnesota. You see how I said it? With
You
Minnesota.
said it like you're from there. What's up with that?
I did, huh? I got a little.
He
North.
was like Minnesota.
I
Like
did.
what?
I did. I like that. I want to go
Freaking
to.
West Coaster. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I want to go to that game. That game's gonna be fun. Monday night in Minnesota, in Soda.
That's a tough game.
It's a tough game.
Freaking, you say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but Justin Jefferson, he's pretty good. Probably
Yeah,
the best receiver in the NFL right now.
the guy's just disgusting. Justin Jefferson, and he's only in his third year now. Like, can you imagine?
I think you can take that leap though.
He can.
It's all about the quarterback, man. You got to have a quarterback and throw the ball, get him open. That's why Trey Lance is the sexy pick to be the quarterback, quote unquote, coming from a Brock Purdy stan. I always say that because people think that I'm because he can go deep. Yeah, he can spread the field.
Yeah, I get it.
Instead of digs and crossers and slants, you got a guy that actually can run a go route once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Big Time says Kirk sucks in prime time. He does, but man, that guy when it's not prime time puts up stats.
Yeah, 450 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Kyle loves him. Kyle loves him.
I swear to God, if he comes to this team next year, I'm out. I'm taking a year off.
Yeah, we might have to delete the page. We'll see what happens.
What happened to Aaron and Raj?
We'll see. But yeah, no, we'll have to connect again through that. Obviously, we're gonna have our show Tuesdays, but maybe when I do my preview, I'll have you hop in a few times here and there, and do what we gotta do. But I'm excited. Season's on the verge. Week 1 preseason just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen.
Just around the corner, guys. That's awesome.
All right, y'all have a good one. Make sure you go follow my boy Aaron, 49ers First Takes. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to us. If you don't, I don't know how you're watching the channel. You guys have a good night. Take care. Go now.
Bye, everybody.